Former New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, author of the new book, Vigilance. Ray Kelly joining us right now live in studio. Good to see you, Ray.
Good to be with you.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
We got to get to Vigilance in a second. But wait a minute. Are you going to run for mayor?
I am a major supporter of Dick Grosso. He has been just a terrific force for good in this city, and I'm all behind Dick Grosso.
So you want to support Dick? You're not going to run for mayor?
I'm very happy with what I'm doing right now. And right now I have no intention of running for political office.
All right, we'll get back to that in a second. Let's talk about Vigilance. What timing on this book, given what's going on with police in the country and given what's going on with the crime rates going up? How would you characterize things right now?
Well, it's an uncertain time in the country, certainly an uncertain time for police. We've seen attacks on the police. We certainly have seen verbal attacks in the media on the police. We have different groups, Black Lives Matter, those sorts of movements are out there. So it's tough to be a police officer these days.
They've actually been reluctant to do their job.
Well, I think there has been some hesitancy, quite frankly. People call it the Ferguson Factor. That's as a result of things that happened in Ferguson and other locations as well. It's kind of understandable. I think we saw a story about 2 weeks ago where murder is up in 30 cities throughout America. I attribute that, at least in part, to police being more reluctant to engage in the way they have in the past. We've had proactive policing working in this country for the last two decades, reducing crime. Now we see a backing off from that posture.
How do you change that? I mean, my dad was a firefighter of 38 years, and I mean, the firefighters don't have this PR problem, you know, in recruiting. I mean, I think at this stage, a lot of people, you know, firefighter recruitment is at some of its highest levels ever. How do you change that?
Everybody loves firefighters, no question about it. They go and they help you, and then they go back to their location. Yeah. They're not interacting with the public, except in a very positive way. Policing is much more complex and getting so much more every day. I think recruiting is still reasonably strong because it's sort of a calling. It's a little bit in the DNA. But there's no question about it. It's tougher to be a cop now than it was when I started 40-something years ago.
We've seen some U.S. cities. Philadelphia has reported that they're having a really hard time recruiting police officers. Do you envision any sort of shortage as far as recruiting here in New York City?
No, I think there will be sufficient demand. One of the challenges here is always to get minority representation. I think we've done reasonably well in that regard. Police officers born in 106 countries are now in the NYPD. Wow. But certainly, you know, African Americans, you want to always try to reflect that. In the department now, it's about 16% African American. The population of the city is 23%. So that's not bad. It's a gap. You like to close that. But in the other areas, the department is doing very, very well.
You know, you look around this city, for example, homelessness has increased. We know that crime is up. Shootings are up in the double digits. What happened? I mean, you've talked a lot about doing away with stop and frisk as one of the issues. How did things sort of, you know, go down so quickly? You know,
what I say is the chief law enforcement officer in any city, any locality, is the mayor. The mayor sets the tone. The police commissioner, the police chief, is sort of a mechanic that carries out those policies. And here the mayor has clearly given those signals. He didn't go forward with an appeal of the stop and frisk case, which he definitely should have. No question about it. The judge had been removed from the case. So it was and the same appeals court that removed her was going to hear the case. He did not do that. Now we have police officers handing out receipts for stop, question, and frisk encounter. So there's just a lot of signals to officers to engage less. And I think you see the manifestation of that with the increase in crimes of violence.
What's your take on this whole James Blake story? Such a horrible story. The former tennis star now calling for the firing of the police officer who mistakenly tackled and cuffed him in Midtown Manhattan. The video is just horrible to watch this guy get tackled. Yeah.
Well, there's no other way to say it, but I think it was a mistake. This is the type of arrest where you go up and introduce yourself to the person and say, hey, I want to talk to you for a second. There was no indication, as far as I know, of crimes of violence or in the past with this individual or carrying a weapon. And we understand it's a mistaken identity, but even I'm talking about the other person who he thought it was. So I think, you know, in New York, they make 400,000 arrests a year, and they're all not going to go well. Mistakes are made. Cops are human. I think the department has a very involved, comprehensive disciplinary system that I think you have to go through before you make any of these determinations about terminating somebody.
How much of this is leadership? I mean, we have cameras now so we could see this. I assume that this has been happening. We just couldn't see it. How much of it is leadership? I mean, again, if they have to answer to the mayor and he's got his own political agenda, and then you have the chief who's got his own agenda to support the mayor's political agenda, is that a big problem here in the leadership structure where guys aren't being held to account and they think you can pull something like that off with James Blake?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a hierarchical organization. There is a structure in place, but aberrations are going to happen. You have 35,000 police officers. Mistakes are going to be made. That's why I say the job is much more complex than certainly a firefighter. So there are more demands on cops now than ever before. This appears to me to be an overreaction. It has to be handled through a disciplinary process. But I don't know where the other police officers were on the team. You could have just surrounded this individual and said, hey, we want to talk to you.
Rather than knocking him to the ground.
It didn't happen.
Let me ask you about the migrant crisis, because last week, one day, the president said that ISIS is metastasizing. It's metastasizing, and Syria is ground zero for ISIS. And then the next day, he comes out and he says that we are going to take in 10,000 Syrians. Now, you say it's important that the U.S. does take in these refugees. Yeah,
I believe in American exceptionalism. There's no other country in the world even close to us. This is the type of thing, it's a superpower that we should be doing. Does it present a vetting challenge? Absolutely. So it just complicates the process, but I still think it should be done. That's what America is all about.
The book is Vigilance. Mr. Commissioner, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Take a look at the book, My Life Serving America and Protecting Its Empire City. It's available at bookstores now and online. Be sure to pick up a copy. Congrats on the book. Ray Kelly, great to see you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it so much, Commissioner Ray Kelly.